Orange County Realtor Board. Our great.
I thought he was from across the country or something.
No.
All right. Anyway, Mindy, how the heck are you doing?
Very, very good.
All right. Another amazing Monday here in Little Saigon. Little breeze, not a cloud in the sky. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
But we have an amazing guest.
Yes.
Super important guest.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's here with us almost every month, at least 1 or 2 times per month, for training all our HPT agents. And we love him.
That's the guy that.
Yes.
Okay. He's the guy behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome, Tony.
Thank you very
We
much.
love you. Yes.
I love being here. You guys are totally awesome. So.
Yes. Our awesome instructor from Orange County Board. His name is Tony
Bried.
Bried.
That's okay.
I know he has a beard, you know.
I have the beard, yeah.
You know the guy from ZZ Top, you know the band ZZ Top, right? The only guy without a beard, his last name is Beard. Right, but this is not the case. He is a breed. Tony is a breed of amazing technical consultants. Anyway, the OCR, or Orange County Board of Realtors. Welcome. And give us a little introduction about yourself.
Sure. My name is Tony.
Tony
Bried. And basically, I've been giving trainings to real estate agents now for close to 19 years.
Wow.
So I've been working with
you haven't gotten depressed or
jump
off a cliff?
Not since COVID. No. No, it's actually fun and it's challenging. What really got me into training was when the crash happened in 2007, and really a lot of agents, especially the older agents, were coming in saying that they felt like they were being ousted out of the business because they weren't technically advanced, they couldn't keep up. And I started looking at what we offer. Even though we offered education, it was more along the lines of how do you write up a contract, things like that. There was really nothing technical. And especially on just even their basic tools of multiple listing service or MLS, and their electronic contracts like zip forms. So that just prompted me to work with our board of directors, my higher ups, and we started developing education criteria on tech.
Yeah, and then of course Glide comes out right in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're like going, help!
Well, funny enough, Glide came out as a benefit through Orange County Realtors first at the local association level about 3.5 years ago. And what really took off was the ability for agents to simplify the seller disclosures, like the TDS, transfer disclosure statement, and the SPQ.
TDS 14 came out in 1987.
Yes, it did. I think, how old was
I was all of that.
No, that was the first year of my real estate. They came out with it. They go, hey, lucky you, Charles. We get to do this now. I'm like, huh?
Now the seller has to disclose everything, right? So that really helped Glide take off. And then, yes, you're right. This year was the big announcement by CAR.
Right,
it would be a free benefit.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah. So it did change a lot of things, but I've heard from a lot of maybe not so technically, advanced agents like, oh my gosh, another thing to learn, right?
Every time, yeah.
Yeah. But what was nice is with this new advancement at the time, because it's recently gone away, is the ability of choice. And that's something with technology, as you probably know as being a tech expert.
No,
from what Mindy has told me.
I can figure my way around the bundle and jumble of course. That's about it.
Oh, he's been humbling, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's good.
But as you know, there's not just one way of doing it, right? You don't have to have one particular computer. You don't have to have one particular software. You don't have to have one particular camera. Nowadays with technology, you have the freedom as a real estate agent to do almost everything and anything the way you need it to that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, look at Matterport. Now it's on your phone, instead of this $5,000 camera. Mm-hmm. I mean, things are changing so fast.
Oh, for sure.
Like writing contract, you can write on your phone or your iPad, so it's easier. You need to depend on your desktop or something.
Yeah. Now commercial real estate has a lot to learn. I mean, we just started using DocuSign about 9 months ago.
Oh wow!
We're a little old school. I kid you not. The AIR forms we just added.
Talking about old school, you just mentioned about the older generation agents, right? Surprisingly, here we have agents big gap from 18 all the way up to like 81.
100.
Wow.
We have that big gap, but how do you think about training with multiple different, generations like that?
It's interesting. I try to train everybody. I try to treat them all kind of the same way. I like to give things in basic manners, but I also like to throw in a little advanced tips just to try to hit all genres. But it really depends on the class and who's sitting in the class.
Depends on the audience every time, right?
Depends on the audience each and every
I
time.
see.
So, and with HPT, through even when, funny enough, we just did a webinar just yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting with the online learning that we've all been doing for the past year, that when you ask a question, it's hard to see people's responses because if they don't have their camera on, it's hard to tell if they're paying attention, if they're checked in, or if they're kind of just checked out doing their own thing. And when they don't,
or like me, right before it starts, you click on, and then you go take a shower, or feed the dog, and then you come back to it. Is it still on?
Is it still on? Yeah.
No, I mean there's people that do that, right?
Yes. I've been
I
known
did
to
that
do
just
that
once.
once or twice myself. Yes. Like, okay, I'll just turn it on. I'll leave, go downstairs, get a cup of coffee. Yeah.
And actually, you just told me that story yesterday. Somebody exercised, right?
One of the agents was at the gym and he turned his camera on, and before I know it, I see the camera go down while we're training, and I see him pick up 2 dumbbells or handbells, and he starts doing
That's right. You
curls.
got a gun show right there.
Exactly, and it was just okay.
So I mean, but it is amazing that you get to train the multi-generational, because real estate. I mean, we got a lot of younger agents coming in the business. A lot of people have been around for a long time. A lot of realtors don't ever retire, right? They love their job so much, and they love what they do. They couldn't even think of not doing it. So
Yeah. Well, this is definitely. I think was it NAR did a survey.
NAR. Oh, NAR, yes.
NAR did a survey that the average age of a real estate agent currently is 57. Yeah. So 57 years of age.
I wonder who's 57 here.
Long time.
That would
Long
be
time.
that would be
Baby.
Yeah.
person 57 would be a dragon. Who's a dragon here? Anyway, keep continuing.
But I mean, but now you're getting the younger generation coming in, and there is somewhat of a gap. And I think a lot of the people who are in charge, NAR, CAR, the states associations, see that there's this big giant gap between newer agents coming in and of course the veteran agents that are still around, that they want to be able to try to merge and cross pollinate kind of thing.
Yeah, so that difference that make me think about the younger new agents coming in, they have no clue, no experience at all, and the older agents with all the experience, but they kind of don't have time or don't have energy, so they combine with each other. I match them up, young and older.
If you
So
could
it's a
do
good
that,
match.
that's
Coach
great.
the team, coach each other, so a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, the young lady today, Tran, she had mentioned, because we kind of touched on that subject too, where a lot of the older agents are afraid of the younger agents in the sense that this is now their direct competition, and they're afraid to show some of the ropes kind of thing. And in her mind,
Secret agent.
it's the secret agent mentality, but in her mind, it's we're all here as a community to help
Exactly.
buyers and sellers sell
Right.
property. So that's really the correct way to have in that business,
Yes.
because even healthy competition is still is better than an unhealthy competition,
Right.
where if you're just so afraid of losing something, it's like sand. It
Yeah.
just goes right through your
Yeah.
fingers.
So only you doing themselves by yourself, rather than combine with each other, you can do a lot more multiple transactions together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the advantage of the older agent is they have the experience, but they may not have the technical know-how.
Exactly.
And then on the opposite spectrum, the younger generation's got the technical know-how, but not necessarily the skill set to
Negotiate.
handle a transaction, and that's something that's learned. So in a way, both generations can learn from each other to become better agents, which ultimately betters the real estate community. Do you feel that way?
Oh yeah, I mean the experienced agents are street smart. They know how to get and do things as far as procedures because of their experience. The young agents might know the latest laws and the latest forms, but they have no idea how to fill them out. You know,
Right.
I mean, I remember I came into the industry. I am now of that average age, right? But I came into this when I was like 23, and I mean, I was the youngest person in the whole real estate office. We had like 40, about 50 agents, and actually one of only 3 men. The rest were all women. It's kind of evening out now. But yeah, I knew all the forms. I knew all the data, but you know, I didn't have gray hair and I didn't look like I was doing it for 10 years. So I could get a listing of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those guys, you know, what I did was I took along someone that did.
Mhm.
So I had the street, you know, I had the technical knowledge and the up-to-date information, and my partner, you know, was the one that did 30 of these last year. So, you know, you had to partner up. Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't be in the business for long.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But let me ask you, Tony, before you become the trainer, well-known trainer for OCR
Mhm.
board, what did you do before? What is your background before?
Oh, my background? Well, funny enough, I come from the East Coast, and right out of high school started working. I actually was, the old term was gopher. So that basically was an office assistant. So that's the way I started. I couldn't type to save my life, and worked for a company called MITRE, M-I-T-R-E. I think they're a government contracting agency, and they worked with the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. So it was really interesting to kind of learn that. And then from there, I went into, I moved out from Virginia to California, up in Silicon Valley.
Good choice.
Well, I mean, for me, it was that personal growing experience. Like, oh, I grew up in the same area, knew the same friends. Here I'm coming up on being 25, and I'm only earning $15,000, $16,000 a year. So, you know, and granted, I had my studio apartment, and, you know, ended up getting roommates at one point in time just to make cost of living a little bit cheaper, but that's kind of what you ended up having to do. Especially when you don't have, you know, you want to make it on your own and not depend on family. But when I came out here to California, I knew no one. Did a job interview, you know, and this was in the infancy of internet. So went to a microchip designing company up in Silicon Valley, became a secretary there, worked in
AMD?
LSI Logic.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was right across the street from Verbatim, by the way.
yes. Oh, okay. Awesome. So we worked in the same neck of the woods.
Maybe.
Well, I ended up starting there, working in the chip designing department. So a group of 10 to 12 people that they would get chip designs, and they would make the routing chip platforms.
Right now, it's a fascinating business. Between high school and college, I spent a summer driving a van around in Silicon Valley. So I would be in LSI, I would be in Applied Materials, I would be in AMD, I'd be over in Verbatim. Back when we had floppy disks,
yes.
right? I'd be going down Kuiper Road, and I mean, it's like I was in the thick. It was so great to see all that. And now look where some of these companies are. Apple had only 3 or 4 little buildings. They were just another. You had so many other computers.
Cisco was coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had,
Wow.
Remember Advanced Micro Devices? No, I mean not Sun Microsystems.
Yes.
Right? Remember? Well, you know what they did, right? They flipped the sign over and painted the back of the sign, and that's Facebook.
Oh my God!
Really? That's true?
That's awesome.
Yeah, right there in what is it? What is it? It's up.
It's on the 101, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right at the 101. Yeah, so they basically, and Atsuko, our friend and colleague that's in the Bay Area, we drove back. He goes, He goes, Charles, I don't know if you know much history. Look at the back of the sign. I just laughed.
Oh,
They literally flipped the sign over and painted over and put Facebook on it.
Oh,
It's
Oh my gosh.
Morgan. Wait, what is it called? That little area. I can't remember where they are. But
No,
yeah,
Petus.
No, it's a little bit further up the peninsula. I can't remember.
Okay.
Redwood City.
okay, wow.
Anyway, yeah, it is still. Oh, Menlo Park. I'm sorry.
Okay, yes.
That's where it was.
Oh, so Tony, you from there, from
I-
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I used to be on the phone all the time with Sun Microsystems ordering Sun workstations because that was the bomb back then to get
Yeah,
these
well,
things done.
they had the was that Flash? I can't remember. It was the.
That was my first experience to Unix, so
Okay.
I loved the Unix system.
Yeah,
That's an operating system.
yeah, the military like to use it.
Okay, sorry, and I'm over here in OC.
Yeah.
Well, then back up in Northern California, you had that really big tech boom in, I want to say between 1999 and 2001.
.com.
Dot-commers were everywhere.
Switching stations being, every warehouse converted to a switching station. It was crazy.
Some of the tech companies were splitting their stock every other week. Cisco was one of those, just to, name a few.
Yeah, you had a lot of buildings back in the real estate. You had a lot of buildings that were empty. You had IPOs with companies that would raise all this cash, but would never go beyond that. And so they would lease space. They didn't have any credit, so they would just pay rent for like 2 or 3 years in advance. But they would never move in. So you saw all these office buildings empty, brand new, but they were paying rent because they had already paid advance rent. Those companies were long gone. We call it gone.
And that was a big thing. It was they came up really quickly, but then all of a sudden people discovered they weren't producing anything, and it just started crashing. Which by then, all these promises and stuff like that started affecting the business. Well, that was what prompted me to move down here to Southern California. A lot of people were getting laid off, companies were shutting down, and funny enough, Southern California was still up and coming. I remember the price of gas here versus Northern California back in 2001, 2002 was $1.22. And down here, I was finding gas at Arco at 95 cents a gallon. And this was 2001. So I said, cost of living's cheaper, businesses are still booming. I moved on down, and then I went 6 months without a job.
That's great. That's great.
So what got you into teaching, though? Because it sounds like that's your passion now. I mean, you have all the technical knowledge and stuff. You work with all the high tech, but now you're basically teaching to a lot of people that are kind of hard to teach.
I know. You gotta have that patience. to
Sit
love
still,
it.
Well, thanks to my wife, she's shown me to be a lot more patient, but I think I come from it as a standpoint of I want to see people be successful in their business, and to hear the stories of I don't feel like I can keep up. I feel like I'm being forced out of the business. My heart goes out to somebody, and I don't like to see people fail. And going through the hardships that I went through, moving down here, being jobless for some time, back east, struggling to make ends meet, I want to see, and I see the tools that are available to people. And I get it. With real estate, there's so much going on that you guys have to pay attention to that
Constantly changing.
changing.
up.
But how do you
Too
keep
many
up?
tools,
And again, this is where we come up with choice. So I took it upon myself to say, let me show you the things. And people were spending hundreds or thousands of dollars for tools that, the MLS, the board, and the state and national associations all were already offering for free. So,
It's true.
so during that whole collapse of the recession, that, hey, take advantage of your free stuff. And if there is another tool that gives you this plus more, then look at it if it's in your budget. So that's where I come off with just enjoying teaching.
Yeah, the board really appreciates you, and the people over here, the agents, thanks to you, because like you said, if the tools is there, nobody knows. You gotta have people that teach you how to do it, use it, take advantage of that for the business. Yeah.
Thank you.
The first thing that I tell agents starting out, is is, join the local board, get that thing going, and just attend every possible education event there is on there, because it's,
Well, in addition to that, one other thing I want to share with everybody that I have my brokerage for like a few years before. I've been with a different board, MLS board, but sorry, I didn't like that at all. Until we joined board with OCR, and I love it. I switched the whole main board to number one with OCR, and then that board become the secondary. So I love the board. Actually, I'm in the leadership of OCR board and also in a few committees, and I love it.
Good. I'm so glad. Well, I mean, and that's something too. I started looking at, and some of the higher ups started looking at the value, like how can we bring value to our membership, and education was one of them.
Oh, it's got to be almost number one.
Yeah, and at least being an educator, that's my feeling too. Like number one is education, but one of the things that Mindy allows us to do is come out to the offices when we're able to at some point again.
It's only 5 years, right?
Only 5 years. So, but it's at least to show that, number one, we're still connecting, but it also shows broker to agent value.
Yeah.
That here's a broker that is providing education, because as you probably know, your years in the business, and of course as your years in the business, you probably have come across brokerages or agents coming from other brokerages, and their number one complaint is my broker or mentor didn't show me anything. And I've been there for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Right, and then they go to the best brokerage that offers everything, and they still say, my broker didn't offer me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what else is new, right? I mean, sometimes, it's like they're looking for it, but they don't realize it's right under their nose, right? It's right there. Click on OCR. I mean, it's all there. I see people rushing to get their CE credits for 45, the 45-hour continuing education. Where do I get it? CAR offers it for free on their website. Hello, that's why you pay the $1,200 a year. Get something out of it, right?
Exactly. And and that's again a choice. If you can go and pay for the $250, $500, do the online testing 45-hour classes, or do the same classes through CAR and not be charged a dime.
What do you do on a basis of trying to find out? And I'm just curious on how your board looks at new technology, because, like you said, you guys adopted Glide much earlier than the rest. So are you constantly seeking new technologies that can help realtors, or are they bombarding you with stuff? It's
kind of a mixture of both. Mm-hmm. With Glide specifically, I know I and a lot of other people met them at a CAR.
Okay, so one
Expo.
of those, right? That would be a great place to see that.
When again, the technology places like Inman, CAR Expo, NAR Expos, those are always good places to see vendors, and somebody's always got something in the works, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we kind of keep an eye. Now, me personally, I like listening to tech programs. So, and I like to think outside the box. And I don't think I can say what website I listen to for podcasts, can I?
No, why not?
It's Twit TV, TWIT.TV, and it's all about technology. And it's not just real estate, or it's not real estate necessarily, but it's like they have, what's happening with Apple, what's happening with Google, if you're into those things.
But, that could sometimes easily apply to your real estate business, right?
Exactly.
A lot of that technology, directly translates into doing business better and offering maybe a competitive advantage,
Exactly.
If you were the only one that had Matterport, it'd be a pretty decent advantage. Right?
I love the fact of 6 years ago when Matterport came out, and I remember seeing it at NAR Expo, and agents were walking by, this is going to be not good. This is going to be a dead technology.
$5,000 for the camera, forget it.
Forget it. Right? The company won't last 2 years, and now
it's IPO a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And now they've got a technology cloud based on a phone So things
Wow.
are advancing. It's leaving you behind, basically.
So,
Well, and it gives a unique advantage, where you can be in the property without having to be in the property. Sorry.
so before that hobby of teaching and technical, any other hobbies that we want to learn?
Oh,
Yeah, wait. Why don't you take a guess? What do you think he likes to do in his off time?
and we're friends on Facebook.
Mm.
I
It's
honestly
not
don't
like
post.
he doesn't like.
I'm afraid to say, so what do you say?
Well, he might hang out in Westminster drinking cloud coffee. I mean,
Egg coffee!
Hey,
No, maybe not. No. Maybe he's soldering circuits in his.
No. I'm a geek in the sense of I like comic books, and I'm the comic book movies always have been that way. I also love cooking.
Yeah.
So on my YouTube channel, not only do I have technology
What's your
training,
YouTube channel? What's your plug?
just my name, Tony, Tony, and my last name is spelled B as in boy, R-I, E as in elephant, D as in dog.
.com.
Bried.
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 And you'll just see my face and just click on it and you'll see all my videos. But recently, because of the whole video thing and of course lockdown, got me right back into cooking. So I've got a few cooking videos up there along with tech. So I'm a down home boy.
I'm going to check out that one.
You should.
Well, I mean, this show basically spawned out of that whole thing, right? Everyone was kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and here we are at Mindy's Manic Monday. Anything else you'd like to ask our amazing guest here?
Oh, and I also like wine. So I'm a wine taster.
Okay.
So
Cooking and wine.
cooking, wine, and gaming.
You're full of, everything.
I try to,
Yeah.
I'm a mixture of
Combination
everything.
of everything.
Yeah,
Great.
getting drunk in a classy way.
Yes. Yep, give me a little couple of cheeses and we're good to go.
Well, I think it's amazing what you do for Mindy's office. I know I see
Yeah.
you popping in doing specific, exclusive training shows for HPT Real Estate. So another amazing advantage on why you should consider joining HPT Realty, right, Mindy?
Yeah,
Yes,
really appreciate
definitely.
you a lot.
Thank you.
Especially, Tony and Charles. We always have great training, great shows. People need to know.
Oh yeah. And your Manic Mondays are awesome. So
And it just got more awesome.
all right, I'm gonna coin that. I'm gonna make sure I get tagged in this.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, thank you very much
Thank
for
you
being
again.
on our show.
Thank you very much
and
for having
I hope to see you more often in the technical kind of, Zooms and shows, and hopefully in person, soon,
Yeah.
like this. So.
Thank you,
Definitely.
Tony.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Mindy's Manic Monday. Join us next week for another amazing guest. Maybe not as amazing as this person, but anyway. We'll see you
More
next week.
amazing.
Thank you.
Bye bye.